Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from Global Law and Business, one of a series that they've published recently. It's a first-class book. It's called Retention of Title in and Out of Insolvency. The consulting editor of the work is Marcel Willems, and it's been produced on behalf of the International Bar Association. It's a fascinating title and a first-class book. I saw the book and I thought this is definitely one that is worth a second look because of the nature of the practice I have. And I thought, well, let's have another look at exactly what they're looking at in this particular title. And we've given it a title. Elizabeth and I talked about this book and had a discussion, came up for our journal and website reviews with this review title, Practical Guidance on retention of title and insolvency in almost 30 countries. And that's exactly what the book is doing. Let's have a look at the book first of all. It's covering a whole range of countries. There's retention of title. I had to sort of turn it around a bit, landscape it rather than portrait it, so you can see the title. There is the actual spine, and then on the back you've got some detail concerning what's actually in the book itself. And in the book you've got a nice bit of advertising from Globe on the back. You've got some useful names of contributors and people involved in this, quite a large number of course, which I'm going to go through. This is about all of the authors. I can't run through all the names, there's so many of them, because obviously it's an edited edition. You can see again right at the back there is no index as such, but what you do have is you've got a large number of footnotes, your page numbering and so forth, and you do have subheadings and various other things. Let's go to the front of the book. You can see here, this is the front page again. I'm just going to landscape it for you there so you can see it. And then you've got the table of contents. You've got the individual countries specifically mentioned, and from that you can see the large number, and then right at the back a detail about the authors. Then you start immediately, there's no preface or anything, goes straight in there, looking at Australia, general remarks about retention of title in Australia and the transfer of ownership. And you look at every single country. United Kingdom, that is written by Ken Titchin from Gately PLC. That one, the reason I'm going to that is because obviously that's where the jurisdiction I'm in. General remarks again, you see the structure again for the UK version, transfer of ownership and how it works. I think it's very interesting in terms of comparing the different international jurisdictions, because there are a lot of differences that are taking place. Let's just get this to stand up straight for a few minutes. There we go. Now, what do we say about the book? Well, we say this: when a nation's economy, any nation, is fundamentally dependent on trade, which means the buying and selling of goods, the pressing need for this new publication becomes glaringly self-evident. Recently published by Global Law and Business, it's particularly useful for exporters as it answers a number of questions relating to matters of obligation and payment in the event of insolvency. Say, for example, that you're a manufacturer or wholesale supplier who has sold goods to a company or individual who has become insolvent. By what mechanisms can you get paid? Or can you retain or repossess the goods if your customer doesn't pay? These are fundamental questions, of course, and in a global community, very, very important, as life has changed and moved on, frankly. Obviously, there is no one answer, of course, or one easy answer to this sort of question. These and related queries involve all sorts of complications, which are complicated further when dealing with an insolvent or uncooperative customer, aren't there a lot of them, in an overseas jurisdiction, especially when it is apparent that insolvencies are on the increase everywhere. And of course, I will say just before we do anything else, due diligence. I say this to my clients, and it's amazing how they don't listen. You find out about the creditworthiness of the people you're dealing with and try to find out a bit about them. It's just common sense, but it doesn't happen like that. And sometimes it's not possible, I do realise, but that is something that we should do more about. Now, to continue with the review, if you find yourself in predicaments, of course, like the ones that I just referred to earlier, from time to time, then Here at Last is a book which contains most or all of the advice and information you need, depending on which country you're involved with specific references, I say, to over 30 of the countries mentioned worldwide, and they're all in the front of the book. So from Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada and China to Switzerland, Turkey and the UK and the US, all the world's major business communities are discussed in alphabetical order with respect to the relevant legal issues pertaining to retention of title in each jurisdiction. And each chapter, one for each country, is written by experts from top law firms in each jurisdiction, and their impressive range of qualifications and experience is detailed in the About the Authors section of the book. And commenting on the retention of title issues in the United Kingdom based on the law of England and Wales is Ken Titchin of Gately plc. This chapter alone provides valuable assistance to UK readers in such matters as, to cite only a few examples, effect of partial payment of the purchase price, the pitfalls and possible solutions to problems involved in enforcement of retention of title, and of course much more. So from cover to cover, this book is a real time saver for legal researchers who might normally spend hours or days trawling through a range of sources in search of answers to some of the truly thorny problems relating to the question of who retains title to goods in the event of insolvency and under what circumstances. So I think it's a very valuable, and it's a time saver. I mean, one of the biggest problems today is all about selection, and that's really why this book I think is really quite helpful, because you should be able to go very quickly to what you're looking for. The book, of course, comes with a caveat, which states in part that it's a general guide only, and that legal advice should always be sought before taking any action based on information provided. I think that's important because you're dealing with complex jurisdictions sometimes, and it is very important. We can't all know all aspects of the law, but what we can do is we can know where to find it, and we can do some advice, and this book does help. Let me conclude by saying the information provided, however, makes this book a valuable source of practical, accessible and informed guidance for any number of professionals, from corporate lawyers and insolvency practitioners to virtually anyone involved in the legal aspects of national and international business. And that's really where its benefits lie. The publication date is cited as 2015. It's an excellent book in my view. Let's have a quick look at it again. Just do that as the front. It's a nice spine. And then there's the back. The back has some information. You can probably just make it out there. Not as much as it would you'd possibly like. As I say, it's part of the International Bar Association logo that we have there. Just opening it in the middle. This is on Greece. Interesting area. You see the structure of the book very clearly. You've got paragraph numbering to a certain extent. You have footnoting as well. So there's a large amount of detail. And I'll go back to Ken Titchin again very quickly. You can see the UK version there. And again, it's all about retention of title, foreign and international law issues as well covered. And again, the validity and formal requirements. In the case of the UK, we're looking specifically, of course, at the Insolvency Act itself. The one thing that would have been nice, perhaps, we've got excellent detail about the authors. It would have been nice to have an index of some sort, possibly. There isn't one. But however, at the front, you do have the list. You have the name of the person who's written and the actual country alphabetic. So if your country is not there, obviously it's not going to be covered. But at the same time, most of the serious players in terms of international trade and issues concerning retention of title, when there's an issue of insolvency, they do appear. So thank you very much to Globe. You do give us some really first-class titles. Very grateful to Sian O'Neill and her staff for producing these excellent books for us. We as practitioners rely on this information to assist us in our day-to-day tasks, and you make it a lot easier. So thank you, Sian, and all the people involved. Very grateful. And in this case, thank you to the very large number of contributors. Bye-bye.